I wish I'd gotten the memo about wearing something floral,
Oh no,
like a
no.
Hawaiian shirt
Yeah,
or
no.
something.
I just have a shift at Trader Joe's afterwards. So
Nice. The Rode BSW guys just showed up, so they're setting up their booth right next to me, and so
Yeah.
I'll pull them in later for our
Okay.
tech talk.
cool,
I love a built-in guest.
Yeah.
excellent. Well, for once, we'll have a guest on.
The Heil
Okay.
booth's right next to them.
The,
Heil
the,
microphones.
which one? Ohio? Yeah,
Heil mics. You know, Bob
Yeah.
Heil.
yeah. They like making those dynamic mics for broadcast.
Not very good ones. Not
No,
very good sounding
don't,
ones.
don't say that very loud.
No, I do not like the sound of a Heil.
Okay, just remember, we're live. We're having
That's-
trouble
that's
streaming
actually-
to Facebook.
That's actually what they sound
How's
like.
this microphone? Maybe we
Okay.
just have the pretend microphones that we can just hold up.
Okay, it says we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook. It is possible the stream was ended or deleted on Facebook. We'll keep trying to let you know if it's resolved. Please check Facebook to ensure the stream looks okay. And if this continues, okay, well, let's see what's going on
Tell
Facebook.
Zuck to stop fighting with Elon and jiggle the damn handle.
Right. Let's
So
see.
Ryan from Rode has a shirt that says Rode on the front, and it has the gold dot right in the middle.
Yeah.
I told him the logo's on the wrong side. The logo's supposed to be on the back of the shirt, the gold dot on the front of the shirt,
Oh.
because that's how the mics are.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody talks into the wrong side of a Rode mic,
Because they look at the T-shirt.
the branding is on the back of a Rode
Yeah.
mic, and the gold dot's on the front of the
Okay.
mic, and they talk into the wrong side.
I think we need to manually enter this on Facebook because it's not broadcasting there.
Well, we're on LinkedIn and YouTube, so
Yeah, I know, but most people watch. Well, where do people watch this thing anyway?
30 people watch it live. So let's just post something on the Facebook page
Okay.
saying to go watch it over here and over somewhere else or something.
Okay.
I've also embedded it on the website, so it's on vobs.tv.
Okay. Voiceover Body Shop.
Yep. The embed is good on the website. That's good. You know, it's funny on Facebook, on the StreamYard window, it says green check. You are live on Facebook.
Right, but we ain't.
And when you go to Facebook, Facebook says we're also live on Facebook. And I'm
Right.
looking at it live on Facebook.
Yeah, but it's not on.
No, it
Watch
is on.
live.
Oh, you
Is
can
it?
see
Oh.
us there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, now
it's
it's
there.
Delay, I
Indeed
guess.
it is. Indeed it is. So we are live on Facebook
Cool.
and LinkedIn
Alright.
and YouTube.
All right. Well, let me.
And yes, hey
and
everybody.
there is a way we can stream it as a podcast, but I think it's totally independent of what we're doing here. So it's
too
probably
much
not
work.
worth it. Yeah, it's too much work.
The whole point of the live is interaction, and the one thing people don't do on podcasts is interact.
Right.
Right? It's the last thing somebody listening to podcasts actually do is interact. So that's, to me, it's kind of a waste. We want people that are engaged, typing in the chat, you know, and that's where these social platforms come into play. It's interactive. People are there. They come every time. You know, we've got regulars, which is awesome. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let me change my battery because my lamp just turned off. But I think the light, is the light on me still okay?
Yeah,
Actually,
fine.
it looks okay.
Yeah.
I don't need this light. Okay. You're done, light.
Just shift the cam a little bit to your right.
You want it to be all black curtain?
There you go. There you go. All right.
Here you go.
That works much better.
Yeah, maybe move that one chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I have the guest on from the other, that'll be.
Oh,
I'll
then
bring
you
that in.
just
I'll
go
bring that in
towards-
later. Yeah,
Yeah.
And then it's like magic.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the light's actually not bad in here.
Yeah, you look good.
The usual expo light are those bright down lights that make bags under your eyes.
Right.
And these are like flat LED panels on the ceiling that spray light
cool.
out in a wide area. It's way better in here.
Cool.
This is a brand new place.
Yeah, great.
So where is it?
This is the Rockies Gaylord Convention Center, which is right next to the airport in Denver.
Oh, geez. So you don't even have to go into Denver.
No, I mean, it's really
You're
far
out-
from Denver.
Yeah, it's out in the prairie.
Really is far.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, do you guys make something that holds mics? Oh, okay.
Besides hands?
I'm just gonna handhold this thing, I guess. They're literally unboxing 2 Rode PSA 1 mic arms right next to me. There's 11 of them. You think you can spare one?
Can we have just like one?
Just for now. I don't want to bring another one home. I'm good.
You look like a talk show host.
I don't mind it. I mean, I've done others where I didn't even have a cable, so the mic was plugged directly into this like this, and I did the whole show just holding it like that.
Oh no.
It's amazingly effective.
Yeah.
It's shockingly decent. It's just hard to type when you're holding a mic.
Well, you
Well,
guys
that sounds
missed-
like a good voiceover slogan. Shockingly decent.
shockingly.
Decent.
I gotta write that one down. Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's live streamed, so you got to get to it before anybody else does.
The OBS. Shockingly decent.
Right. You guys missed all the fun yesterday. It turned out to be a big nothing burger.
You know what, though? You know what wasn't a nothing burger? It was when my girlfriend's FaceTiming me from the apartment,
Yeah.
telling me, hey, look at the rain, and then there's a friggin' earthquake in the middle
Oh
of it.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was the exciting part.
Yeah, I was sitting right here and I felt, and then it was like, for about 20 seconds.
She still does not. See, you got to understand where my girlfriend's from, which
There's
is
no
not.
earthquakes in. There's earthquakes in Iran.
No. Where my girlfriend's from, in that part of the world, earthquakes kill tens of thousands of people,
Right.
right?
Oh, right.
It's a different deal. Like the one in Istanbul killed a lot of people. She said
Right.
when they first reported the earthquake, they said 5,000 dead, maybe more. She said, you watch, it's going to be 50,000 people.
Oh yeah.
She was right.
They make everything out of concrete there, and it just.
She totally called it. She's like, no, it's probably more like 50,000. I'm like, what? And sure enough, the death toll just kept going up and up and up and up. And
Wow.
I was like, so anyway, when you're from those regions, earthquakes are a lot more scary
Yeah.
than they are in LA, where we build buildings for this stuff.
Right.
I still have to tell my girlfriend, don't run outside. We're fine right here. Just stay right here.
It's not going to collapse on you.
She freaks out. Yeah, I felt terrible, but I had never been on a live stream with her, like a live FaceTime with somebody in an earthquake.
Yeah.
I almost thought she was joking, and then I heard her phone giving you the earthquake alert,
Oh wow.
so I could hear it going, making the sound.
Yeah. There was a bang first, then the alarm went off.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe there was there too. Here's the crazy thing. You know, earthquakes are, guess what? They're waves, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The
So-
S waves and P waves.
Right. So where we were, it shook the house. Where Scott Parkin lives, which is, I'm not even kidding, 6 blocks from us.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't feel a thing. He said, I've been through many earthquakes. Nothing was swinging. Nothing was going on. I was like, so you were in the node. He was in the node, or the area where the wave was like canceling out. And we were on the other side of the wave because it was right down the street.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
I felt it in here. Jacob felt it in his room, but Marcy was just sitting. She was listening to a book or something. And
Yeah.
Come running and there, and the chandelier's going like this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Scary
alrighty.
enough. All right, Sue
It
wants
is
us to
5
start.
o'clock. Let's get rolling here. She is
Okay,
That's
Sue.
waving her hand at us, and it must be time to do the show.
Is my
See if I can
volume
remember
okay
how.
compared to
It sounds pretty good.
Elaine's? It's hard to tell from here.
Is mine loud or is it okay?
No, yours is fine.
Soft?
So are we about the same, Dan? Me and Elaine?
I think so.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sounds the same to me.
Well, I mean, I need you to compare Elaine to me. That's how we can tell.
Okay, so if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
She's
then you
6,
go.
7, 8, 9, 10.
She is very clear and yeah.
Am I quieter than her or about the same?
That sounded the same to me, but
sounds the
it's through
same.
my headphone.
If that
You're
sounds
good.
the same to you, we're good. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
Sue says
'cause-
that I'm loud.
Okay, so back yourself off like a tick
Just a
or
touch.
half. Yeah.
Let's see. Is this better? I just turned it down a little bit.
That's great.
All righty.
You're right.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Are
ready
we
when
ready?
you are.
Okay, 5, 4.
3.
Hey, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. How's everybody doing out there? Of course, if you're watching live, why would you care if I said that? Our guest tonight is Elaine Clark. Hey, Elaine.
Hi.
We are going to talk about the whole voiceover biz and all the stuff that she does, which we're going to run out of time just talking about each one of them. So, our George is not here. He's in Denver, or at least outside of Denver, at DOA. Where are you at?
I'm at the Podcast Movement Expo at the Gaylord of the Rockies Convention Center, a Marriott property.
Cool. All right. Well, if you have a question for Elaine or for us about home voiceover studios, but about the voiceover business, throw it in the chat room, because Jeff Holman's in there taking all those questions down, and we'll get those questions to Elaine right after our second break, or after our first break. So, anyway, are we ready? Everybody ready? No earthquakes. It's not raining. VoiceOver Body Shop right now. VoiceOver Body Shop is brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the folks who bring you Source Connect. VOHeroes.com, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActor.com, your voiceover website ready in minutes. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And by World Voices, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George. Well, hello there. I'm Dan Leonard, and sitting down is... and who are you?
I'm George the Tech.
There we go. All right.
I told him I had 1 minute. Let's go.
Okay. And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VO BS. All righty. Well, the big hashtag yesterday was Hurricane.
I wrote that the first time. I came up with it.
Oh, you came up with that. Okay.
Well, I did say it. Okay. I'm sure 20 people thought of it at the same time. But
yeah.
Anyway, yes, we had a hurricane.
Yeah. I mean, it was a tropical storm. The problem with rain in Los Angeles is, they made it sound like it was a snowstorm coming or something. The most dangerous part is people driving, because they don't know how to drive in that stuff.
The thing that's frustrating about Los Angeles is it's a massive metropolitan area, and of course, all the media outlets cover the entire metropolis from San Diego up almost to Santa Barbara, right? So they're reporting stuff, and it only matters for this narrow band of people, right?
Right.
And it makes the rest of the whole 15 million people freak out. So it was a little bit of a freak out for nothing, but for those that had flooding, I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah, well, nothing here. It was just wet.
Yeah, I mean, LA, the basin and the valley has the most incredible flood control ever. Yeah. So it's not really a problem for us directly, but the mountains and the areas in the deserts, really, that's where it gets scary. So we hope everybody's safe.
Apparently it wasn't too bad. And then in the middle of that, and I kept thinking, what would be worse is having an earthquake in the middle of this. What happens? We get a 5.1 earthquake in the middle of the thing.
I was like, well, we can't have a fire, so we ruled that one out.
So we'll have an earthquake instead. Yeah.
Somebody typed in the comments, locusts.
No
locusts. We're safe.
No locusts. Yes. Alrighty. Anyway, we have a great guest tonight. One of our favorite people. Elaine Clark has spent over 40 years in the communication industry, almost as many as me, as a coach, director, audio engineer, producer, casting director, actor, author, app creator, podcaster, curriculum developer, and business owner. And I did that in one breath. From 1986, when Elaine founded The Voice One in San Francisco, she sold it, the voiceover and acting school, in 2019. And Elaine has continued her quest for better speech communication. And she's proud to have trained and launched the careers of over 5,000 voice actors. Oh, you're the one, huh? from her trademark "making it mine" method quickly to incorporate subtext to specific use of body and gestures to achieve desired results. Joining us from the Bay Area, the one and only Elaine Clark. Hi, Elaine.
Hi.
How are
Hi,
you
Elaine.
doing?
I'm doing great. We didn't have earthquakes and we had 10 minutes of light rain.
Oh, well, that's nothing new in San Francisco. It's in this, but here it's in the middle of August. It seemed like
Well,
January, only warmer. It was just
yes.
kind of weird. Anyway, so welcome to the show once again. You haven't been with us for a while, but we're glad to have you with us. I start with my standard question. How, or more importantly, why did you get into voiceover?
Well, I was a theater major in college and I also got a degree in education. And I was in plays and I was also a newlywed. And we're still married after all these years.
Oh, wow.
And yay. But he was like, am I ever going to see you? Because when you're in a play, you're gone for like 3 or 4 months in rehearsals and shows. And then someone told me about voiceover. So I studied it. This was in 1980. And then I put together a reel to reel, went out there, started getting work.
It didn't take long because as an
Well,
established actor, transitioning to voiceover is actually a little easier.
Well, it was a bit of a challenge because I moved from Louisiana, so I had a Louisiana accent,
Right.
and and I was younger. My voice was a little bit higher with the accent, so I had to work on it a bit. But I had a lot of like teenage stuff that I would do,
Yeah.
for spots.
Cool.
hmm
So how long did it take? You started. Let's see. If you started in 1980, you started a voiceover centered acting school in 1986. What prompted you to do that?
You can only do so many lunches and coffees. So at the time,
Can I pick your
there,
brain?
yeah. Exactly. So at the time, there were only like 50 voice actors in San Francisco. And so, how did you get in? What did you do? What's going on? And so I just sort of naturally, with my education background, I thought, well, maybe I should start a school. Went into this casting director's office. They had an empty space in their office, and they said, "Hey, do you want to rent that?" And I went, "Okay." And that's how I started the school.
There you go. How many students did you start with?
Oh, I don't know. A dozen or so, and then it kind of grew from there. So that I would have, around 250 students a year. Not all of them would go. Some were ones that were taking multiple classes that had come in from the year before. So it just kind of progressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. Now in 1995, we'll go ahead 9 years.
Well, jump ahead.
Okay. Whoosh. You wrote the first voiceover training book in 1995. There's Money Where Your Mouth Is, and it's now in its fourth edition, and it's got a different cover now.
Yeah, that's this
Keeps
one.
keeps changing covers.
Yeah. So, well, this one is yes. So it was funny because I thought, I know a lot of stuff. I was directing video games, narration. I had worked in an advertising agency. Was a media buyer prior to this as I was getting my voiceover career going. I thought, I'm going to write a book on voiceover because there isn't a training book out there that I am going to, that way people will leave me alone and I'll just be an actor. So I was talking to someone and said, "Hey, here's the direct line on for the guy who's the publisher over at Random House. Here's his direct phone number." So I called him up, talked to him. He said, "Write a proposal." I wrote a proposal. 2 weeks later, I had a contract, and that's how I got the book.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So, how did you structure this book, and what makes it unique? I mean, one of the things about books about voiceover is, unless you hear it, you're just describing stuff. How did you format it and
Well,
make that work?
well, this is well, you can tell the difference in size, from where it started to where it's become. But I have a lot of techniques, so that I've worked on over the years, and the techniques are how to put it in your body, how to move, how to interpret the script, because learning the voiceover business, people would go, "That's great," but you had no idea what you did. So I had to figure it out for myself. So the first part is about technique. The second part is about application to a whole series of different types of scripts, and the third part is about marketing. And then in the midst of it, then I have people that I've interviewed, whether it's Bob Bergen or Dave Fenoy. There are just a ton of people that are out there in their different areas of expertise, so that they would say what kind of microphone they use, what their setup is. Here's some advice. So it's really very, very thorough. So I just wanted to give what I had inside me and say, here, this is it. And people say I should create an audiobook of it. No, it's too much. I did something else instead. I created a podcast. Yeah. So
early on in the podcasting days, how long have you been doing it?
Well, I wouldn't say that was early on. So what happened then, I changed publishers and I went to the one that I currently have, and this is at Allworth Press. And then they had a meeting, this is like in 2018, and said, your name came up, and so we want you to write a book about called Voiceovers for Podcasting. I said, okay. And then I wrote a proposal. They sent it to me. They sent me in advance. And then that's when I came up with the idea for this. So what I did, this is so funny. I was holding it up with one of my old cassettes.
Cats, yeah. Look.
I forgot that I put that behind. Just hold it there. Yeah, that's where, and I was at Reel to Reel prior to that. So anyway, that's a glimpse at a past thing. That's funny. That was unintentional. So anyway, so I thought, well, let me take it from my advertising background. And one of the things as a media buyer, we had to work on horizontal versus vertical formats, and how do you do advertisements within that format. Like news talk is vertical because they're different people talking, and it could have sports in there. But a music station is horizontal. It plays different music, but within that same genre. So I thought, well, this is something that people should know when they're setting up their podcast, how to establish it. And also I thought, well, if I was going to get into it, I want to know what's easiest, if it's from one person to a dozen people or a team. So I just went through the various styles of podcasts and said, here's the positive thing that you can get out of it, and here's the negative. That way people can then figure out what to do.
Right.
So, but that was with like 100 hours of research and stuff to go along with that.
Yeah. And then there were those of us who were in broadcasting or were public service directors who do those Saturday morning and Sunday morning shows that were on at 5:30, which was essentially podcasting. It's like intro, body, outro, boom.
Absolutely. And that's why I was coming from the same background. I had my class 3, radio DJ license back in college, and would put on a long song if I saw my friends and that I wanted to hang out with for a few minutes, and then come back. Anagata DeVito was great. So
if that song came on, you knew there was something
I had like
going
6
on in
minutes.
the studio. Yeah.
What we referred to as a crapper.
Okay, there you go. So after I wrote the book, people kept saying, well, where's your podcast? And that's why I thought, well, I'll create real talking tips, and that way people can see what I'm suggesting in both of the books, so that they can, and I use the educational background that I have to say, here's the problem, here's how you solve the problem, now here's your homework. Now, I'm not saying hard homework, but just something as a takeaway, and you can hear it, of course, as a regular format in audio, but you can go to my website and get the whole visual of it, or go to the YouTube site to see it as well. But it's like, because I know that people learn auditorially, visually, and kinesthetically. So I try to put all of those things together.
All right. Once again, we're talking with Elaine Clark, and we're talking about voiceover technique and podcasting technique and all the things that she teaches. If you have a question for her about any of this stuff, throw it in the chat room right now, and Jeff Holman will get that question to us, and we'll get to it in our next segment. So I think Elaine is the one person you should really be asking all these questions to. So, okay, so along with that, you've created 2 not one or two or three, but two voice diction and speaking apps. Activate your voice and adding melody to your voice. Tell us about those and how they benefit a voice actor.
Well, everything I do is I see a problem and I try to solve it as efficiently as possible. And the Activate Your Voice is a 99-cent app that's 5-minute speech and diction, because I realized that people had poor diction. They needed more resonance, and they also needed to work on keeping their volume going all the way through to the end of their phrase.
Don't run out of breath at the end.
Right, and then you have to fix it, and there are technical issues, which you two might know something about.
A few.
So anyway, so that's how I created that, and then and I realized that my signature, really, as a coach, is about how to embody things. So it's like I try to take things out of people's heads. There's a basic amount of information that you have to know, but it's really when you put it in your body that you understand it. And we make movements all the time, but don't really think about it because it's just part of who we are. So I broke down all these movements, and then I have an interactive app that's adding melody to your voice so that you can play around with, what is a dot? What is an arrow up? What is a carrot up? What's a carrot down? What's a wiggle wobble? What are the different, how do you stretch out a word? So then there are ways that they can record themselves. Yes?
What is a wiggle wobble?
A wiggle wobble is, it's like jazz hands.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is?
it's like, whoa.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like, wow. So it just wiggles. I mean, that's a technical term, wiggle wobble, but jazz hands is really more accepted.
All right. That's just hunky dory.
Is that a technical term too?
Yes.
Hunky dory, absolutely. Along with a number of other terms. So yeah, give us another example of that. I mean, because people are, they're always marking their scripts, or at least they're supposed to. And what are some of the tips you give people for making sure that they do those things?
Well, it's about how to take direction quickly, or how to solve a problem quickly. So if, and I would just see people write on a script going, slow down on this word. Well, by the time you read that,
You're past it. Yeah.
you're way past it. So, and if you're given direction and they say, can you just make that real short or real long, or give it some emphasis or whatever it is, they're just ways that you can just put a dot or a wiggle or an arrow up. Yeah. So if I'm going to set something up so I can arrow it down to finish that thought. I'm going to stretch it out, and then I'm going to speed up around it. And then it's going to be smooth, but then it needs to be shaky. So the thing is, we don't want to be the same. Otherwise, that's boring. So when we're reading, most people get into what's called reading conditioning, which all sounds the same, and it's very metered. But we all talk most sentences with 3 different tempos. So it's also about how do you put it in your body using your right hand, your left hand, and 2 hands together. Where do you put it in the power box? A lot of this is broken down in the Real Talking Tips. I have some in the app. So it's like every time I realized that people needed something else, I just created it. So, I mean, the adding melody to your voice is just $9.99, and Apple and Google Play take most of it. So a little bit comes my way, but I didn't do it for the money. I did it because people needed it, and the app and Real Talking Tips is so. There's a lot of information and ways to practice at home. So, so that
which is the most important thing is you can read all about this stuff, but unless you practice it, you're just reading it.
Yeah, but how many different movements that you have right there? I would then take the shrug of the shoulder and the stretching out the hands, and I think that was a wiggle wobble. So anyway, so how do you take that and just say it within everyone's way of performing? How do you interpret those little markings so that it has a smoothness and a variety to how you're reading something?
Right. Once again, we're talking with Elaine Clark. If you've got a question for her, throw it in the chat room, because I'm sure you all have questions after she's talking about all this stuff. Now, we know you coach voice actors, and we've been talking a little bit about podcasters, but you also coach business professionals and teach them how to speak better, because I've seen some people get on some of those political talk shows or business talk shows and go, why did they put this person on? That sort of thing. How do you teach them?
Well, it's all about communication, but with different scripts. That's
Right.
really what it's about. So, and different purposes. And so with what I if I'm working with a business executive, they're usually going to some sort of event or being interviewed or doing a presentation. They want to make sure that X happens in a particular way. So then I usually watch them for do their thing and then add comments of how to correct it, and then how to feel comfortable when you're doing it. Some people are getting ready for a TED Talk. Some people are uh, going on being interviewed for a product that they've created, or a service that they have that they're going to go on a junket. So I help them with how to succinctly talk about what their call to action is, or what their main thought is, because especially when someone's in business, they have so much stuff that they know. It's easy to go on a gazillion tangents, and then people just know that you have a lot of stuff, but they don't know why you're actually talking. So it's just so part of that is just shaving off what they're saying.
All right.
Notice how I just shaved off right there.
Yeah. Now, explain what you mean by shaved off. I'm like, well,
Yeah,
where are you
well,
going
it's
with
about
that?
how do you stop talking and don't make it constant. So
Right.
you have to make it, that's how the interaction happens.
I know a couple of people that could learn that. Just
Hmm.
take a breath, finish your thought, stop, let somebody else say something.
Yeah. And when you start editing, that's when you realize, man, oh, those little breaks are great.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they sure are.
Just like articulators are great for editing.
Right.
So the T's, the D's, the K's, so if you leave them off, you don't have as easy an edit. So that's why, just some of the exercises like ta 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 are in the app.
Ah. All right. What's the name of the app again?
It's
We've got-
activate your voice, and
Right.
the other one is adding melody to your voice.
I recommend those to anybody who is learning how to do voiceover or has been doing it for 40 years, like Elaine
I
and I
have
have
people
doing.
that say they work on those right before any meeting, before any recording, so it becomes sort of like their centering.
Now, you're also a featured instructor in Terry Nicole's voiceover e-learning accelerator course. How did that come about? Man, you're doing everything.
Well, I get connected. Well, I was Everett Oliver was coaching Terry and said, "You know who you should go with? You should," because he said, "Go to Elaine. I'm called the reprogrammer." So I take people out of their head and put them in their body and figure out. Not that she was, but it's just like, let's reprogram. We just hit it off because she came from an education background. I think she got an MFA in it. So it's like, whoa, you're way ahead of me. You're using bigger words, but I just got an additional degree. Anyway, so we started talking, and then she started talking about e-learning, and I've worked on at least 1,000 e-learnings over the course of time, either recording it, performing it, casting it, engineering it, something, directing it. So the whole thing for years, since the beginning of dial-up. We had to wait for it to come out. Yeah, it took a while to get there, but we actually could hear it. So she started talking about this voiceover e-learning accelerator, and then wanted me to provide some content, and that's where I added the melody section to it and some other parts to it. And it's a really, really good um, you know self-guided program that you can get, that to anyway, she just did a fabulous job putting it together, and I'm really pleased to be part of it.
All righty. Once again, we're talking with Elaine Clark. Got a question? Throw it in the chat room. We'll get to those in just a couple of minutes. Now, you also have a connection in Bristol, England, teaching video game acting classes for Brava UK. How did you get there? I mean, you're working with everybody.
It's all about relationships.
Yeah.
So I mean, the one reason why George and I are friends is because we were the only ones left after a VO Atlanta thing, and then we just looked at each other and said, our plane's not leaving for a long time, went to a restaurant and had some drinks, and that's when we became friends. It was really just because we looked out, the whole hotel was empty, so that's when it all happened. So it's really about building relationships. And so she was in San Francisco and took some classes with me, and then I thought, well, she's like the British version of me in a way. So she went back to England and was used her demos that I, because I produced demos, so I produced them for her, and it was getting her tons of work. But she was already had been in radio for a long time and had a lot of experience. And she said, "I think about going to start a voiceover school." I said, "Just prepare yourself. I had mine for 32 years. It's going to be a lot of. You got to set your time limits because it can be a lot." So anyway, so she does everything really classy. So I'm not sure whether you know that I've worked on like 85 video games, either as a director, casting, producing, engineering, edge, and I directed the original American version of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and a few other anime and some cartoons. So I thought, well, I'll just do the character. So I'm ahead of the character track. So I just wrote a script. And then we go in and we record it over in their studio in Bristol, which is really fun. And then I, of course, do Zoom classes, which is fun because it's morning in the U.S. and it's evening for them, which I like.
Yeah, it's always fun doing stuff in Mumbai.
Yes.
Can you do it at 6 in the morning? And
You're like, do you want me to be coherent?
Yes.
Of course.
And it's late at night for them,
Yeah.
and they've been
Yeah.
doing it all day, and they're like, they're hardly coherent either.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about me, not to cut you off, but
No, please.
sorry, but it was I like to find patterns in what is there. So I've been teaching character stuff and directing it for years and years, for decades. So what I do is, when I teach it, is just you learn this, and then with that, and then with that, and then you build it. Because also having an education degree, a lot of people just do a dump of information, and it's really hard for the actor to filter through all of that. It needs a program in order to get there. And I think that most everyone, when they start teaching, they just say, "I'm so excited, I have so much stuff," blah, and then it just is there.
Right.
And so over a course of time, it just sort of changes.
Yeah, you got to chunk that stuff down. You can't like aim a fire hose of information at people and expect them to know that. All right, now this is fascinating. I'm going to list off a bunch of your skills, and let me know if I left anything off. Let's see: entrepreneur, business owner, educator, coach, actor, author, audio engineer, app creator, podcaster who's worked in some capacity or another in commercials, narrations, e-learning, museums, museum tours, video games, anime cartoons, toys, film looping, film acting, and apps. Did I leave out anything?
Audiobooks is one. So I work with some of the major publishing companies and record famous people in my studio, and also sometimes I record myself.
Yeah.
I'm currently working on a really cool reading. I'm narrating a really cool book about art right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's. I'll give you a little tidbit of information.
Sure.
So in the 1960s, 1964, they had the New York World's Fair, and they wanted to bring in a huge statue that was at the Vatican. And so they put it on a U.S. nuclear sub.
I remember seeing it was the Pieta.
Yes, but can you believe that? That is crazy. Anyway, so I just love history, and I love hearing about all that stuff. So anyway, that's one. On the other is I'm a playwright. I've written a few plays that have been produced. I'm working with a really good producer right now, so we hope to get this comedy up and going next year. We had some fits and starts. You might have heard of the pandemic that was kind of giving a little problems in the theater world. But anyway, so the goal is to try to get it out there for the world to see, because it's really pretty funny.
All right. Once again, we're talking with Elaine Clark. Got a question, throw it in the chat room. We're going to take a break right now, and we're going to get to your questions right after that. So don't go away. We'll be right back on VoiceOver Body Shop.
This is the Latin lover narrator from Jane the Virgin, Anthony Mendez, and you're enjoying Dan and George on the VoiceOver Body Shop.
Setting up for voiceover recording on the road can be a real hassle. You can't bring your boom stand with you. The solution? After 6 long months, Harlan Hogan's VoiceOverEssentials.com finally has their popular desktop stand back in stock. The Harlan Hogan Adjustable Height Desktop Stand fits U.S. and all international microphones with its thread adapter. It features quick assembly and has a low center of gravity for great stability, making it great for home and on the road. The two-way adjustable desk stand gives you infinite height adjustment from 5.5 to 8.75 inches. And the rubber-ringed, low-profile base fits perfectly into the pre-cut desk stand slot of both the Portabooth Pro and Plus. They're back, and they're keeping the pre-shortage price. Damn inflation has become their motto. The Harlan Hogan Adjustable Height Desktop Mic Stand, just $39.95, and only at VoiceOverEssentials.com.
And now's the time on the show where I talk about our sponsor, Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect. And I've seen a new version. It's less and less vaporware all the time. There's a Source Connect 4 on the horizon. The alpha tested version is starting to get out into the testing community. And I got to give it a run through on Friday. And it's a really nice design. And more importantly, it's more actor friendly, which is what I think a lot of us are waiting for. Something that's a little more just actor friendly, more easy to use. Hey, what's up, Roland? Roland wants to sit here where I'm doing my spots. I'm going to be moving here in a second. So they're got an incredible product coming on the horizon. But in the meantime, Source Connect 3.9 is your friend. Get set up, start learning how to use it, and get familiar with it because it's a tool that's going to make you go to the next level in your business. Anyway, thanks again, Source Elements. Let's get on to the next spot so we can get to those questions right after this.
Oh, hey, I am about to shoot the fourth of 5 lessons in this year's big old course that I'm giving away for free called Getting Started in VO, Thriving in the AI World, where we meet what it takes to get into the world of voiceover, what it takes to be better at voiceover, with the incursion of artificial intelligence, and maybe some things that you can take advantage of in terms of artificial intelligence as well. So we're in the midst, it's been a banger. We're in the midst of 5 lessons, all free. If you go to voheroes.com/go, you'll get those lessons. And it will culminate with the opportunity to join as a VO Heroes Pro at a very special price with some very special bonuses. But first, take the free class. Just go to voheroes.com/go. That's voheroes.com/go, and I'll see you for all 5 lessons, and let's see what happens with your VO career.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying Voiceover Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
And we're back. George is moving his location because they're kicking him out of the booth he was in. But he'll return shortly. Anyway, let's get into some of the audience questions, of which we have a large amount of. Starting with Terry Briscoe. Elaine, what is the most common mistake you see with new voice actors?
Thinking it's all about the voice and not about the message. So really, it's we are a vehicle for presenting our clients' information to them, and also using the rhetorical triangle properly, which is ethos, logos, and pathos, so that you have your authority, your logic, and your emotion that's equally balanced. And a lot of people that are starting will do too much of one. It'll be, you're talking happy about something that is just logical, and there's another one that's, that will just say logic, 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 and you don't feel anything. And then with the authority, one of the things I struggled with at first with the word authority, I kept thinking of my high school principal bounding down the hallway when someone had done something bad. So when I saw the word authority, I would just think I had to kind of bristle. But an authority is someone who knows it so well that it looks like it's nothing. And so that's a really hard thing that most people overlook. And there are a lot of tells when I hear someone that they are not the authority and therefore not bookable.
Excellent. Now, part 2 of that, what techniques or skills did you learn or develop that you've moved on from over the years? What has, were you working on and doing, and then like, maybe this doesn't work anymore, or it never really worked? But there's some things that you've moved on from.
Well, I think that the biggest one for the first, I think 8 or 9 years that I was teaching, I gave a lot of intellectual direction. How do you do things? This is how you break down the script. This is what you want to do. Here's the stuff. Let's go ahead and study. And people became really book smart. But I realized that it got locked in their head. And that's why my biggest change happened when I said, okay, how can we do less with the book smarts and more with the body? So I started using the body first and how to feel and commit and get that, get the authority, stand a different way, use that away. And that's and also, I developed a program called Making It Mine that I trademarked. That's a different way of looking at motivation the moment before, intentions that are actions, the need that's the through line, and E that stands for emotions. So by integrating the techniques, uh, and they're in the book, There's Money Where Your Mouth Is, and also in the podcast, and also the subtext, working on that. Then if you have that, a lot of the script stuff, the script analysis, it's useful, but it's really only about 10% of the job. The rest of it is what do you do with it? And I think that it was flipped at first when I was teaching.
Yeah, make. In other words, you became more organic with how you got people to do stuff, and what works within your particular parameters and your voice and how you talk. I find that a lot of people who get into coaching, after doing voiceover for a year or two, or have been doing it for centuries, they tend to try to create people in their own image, and that's not the idea. You've got to find what is individual, what is unique about that individual, and how does that work for them.
Well, it's interesting. Also, I think I used to have things really planned out, what I was going to do and how I was going to teach it. But then I realized when I had my general idea of what I was going to do, but gave it some freedom, that was a better way of teaching. So I often just listen to what someone's doing. I try to find and see if they have a pattern that is causing the problem, and then identify it and work on ways to break it open. We have song in the background now. This is getting so fun, George.
We can hear. Yeah, he's having a great time.
I have the gain at minimum on my mic, by the way.
No, it's okay. I was just enjoying it. I just sort of went off on a tangent there, just listening. Just
I'm like,
grooving
of
with
all the
tune.
locations, there's a stage right over here. They're sound checking. It was like, we don't get ad dollars on YouTube. We don't have to worry about copyright strikes, We can do our own thing. Sorry about that.
Well, and I think one of the other things is, I produce a lot of demos, and then being a writer, I also I I always work with someone to come up with original scripts. And I give them an assignment, we write something together, and so that everything is new. And it's really funny because sometimes people will look, and then I know some radio stations would call me up and said, I didn't know this particular company was doing ads. How did you do that? And I go, oh, they used that product and I just made it up. So they were like, oh, dang, I thought I had a sale there. So, but that's good. I think I want it to be original. I want it to be interesting, and I want it to reflect the person's personality. And that goes back to, I don't want them to be me. I want them to be them. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of coaches, because you hear your voice rattling around in your head. And sometimes I have to hear myself directing that way, and I have to take a step back and go, whoa, hold on. It's better their way, because I couldn't do it that way and get away with it, but it really works for them.
All righty. We're answering questions from our humongous worldwide audience. Justin Ramos has a question. George, why don't you take that one? It's a two-part.
All right, now that it's quiet, I can do that. Yeah. Justin Ramos from YouTube chiming in saying, this is a two-parter for Elaine. Do you have a recommendation for VO schools in the Bay? Obviously, Voice Tracks SF or Voice One. There's some obvious choices, but what do you recommend?
Well, I don't think that you have to limit yourself to the city that you're in. I mean, I don't have any connection with the school that I started anymore, and so it's and I don't have a connection really with Voice Tracks, because so I don't. I'm not paying attention to really what they're doing at this moment. So I mean, I coach people. I send them to other people who are, that they can work with on Zoom. So, but if they want they want to go there to either of those, that's fine. Yeah.
And the second part of it is, do you recommend any coaches for video game voice acting when she is just so booked, for example?
Yeah, if you're too busy.
If you're too busy.
Oh, like when
who
I'm
else
too busy?
Yeah, like who else to go to for video game voice coaching?
I think that Everett Oliver is really good, and also Dave Fenoy. But some of them will. I think that you need to do your research, get your foundation. What I find is that, well, if you have the right director, you have the right coach, it won't take long. If it's not a good fit, you're going to feel it, and it just takes too long. And it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, that's the thing, and you have to figure out what's working for you. So I have a system that I work through, and just because I have everything listed doesn't mean I do that every single day. I don't go, let me start at the top and work through everything, and I'm going to write 6 plays today. It's like it's a combination. I've been in the business for 40 years. It just happens. So, and I try to. That was one of the reasons why I sold the school, because I was directing and producing and acting during the day, and then I had classes on the evenings and weekends. I said, if I keep doing this, it's going to kill me. So I thought, well, what do I want? I want the day work. So that doesn't mean I don't work sometimes on the weekends, but they're usually my projects or something like that. But I limit my evenings and weekends now, and my family loves that. They actually are seeing me sometimes.
Which is nice. Sort of a follow-up to that. What's the difference between coaching somebody for video games as opposed to just doing commercials or e-learning or something
Or
like
even
that?
or like even animation, which may seem related to video games, but is quite different.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you have a basic foundation of technique. So, and then when you have the technique down, then it's about styles. But you got to then know how to twist those styles. What was really nice about living in the Bay Area is that we started out with a small commercial business, and then Silicon Valley came in, and then the corporate stuff took off, and then the video game business came in, and we worked on the video games, and I worked on a lot of toys, and the toy business was going really big, and so I was able to grow when the business was growing. So now when people come in, they're just, thrown into it. So I think you have to figure out whether or not you can learn a whole bunch of things, or you just get muddy. Because I remember, when I was just going from a commercial to a video game, I would be too big for the commercial, and I wasn't big enough for the video game, because I would got it all muddy in my head. What do I need to do stylistically? Technically, it was correct. So that's the big difference. So you have to figure out what you can handle, and that's an individual answer.
Right. Because sometimes the video games can be, lots of guttural stuff, lots of and stuff that wears people's voices out and stuff. And
Right.
And sometimes they'll ask you to be several different characters, and they'll come back and say, well, it sort of sounds like you. How do you differentiate characters and stuff? What's some of the techniques you use?
One of the things is everyone has a different vocabulary, and knowing what the specs means something slightly different to everybody. And so after a while, you got to figure out what does that mean? Is introspective just going, I wonder what's going on, or is it, I wonder what's going on? What does that mean? And that then becomes the choice of the team that's working on that project. So I don't know if I answered that, but I think you have to then figure out what is too big or too small. But this is where I have something that's in my Real Talking Tips podcast about how to use the power box. So if I have the power box being, if I have something very small and I have to talk about it very small, I'm going to have small movements that are right here. But now if I want to get bigger, my movement's going to be bigger. And it must be bigger, my body's going to get bigger. So I don't have to think about that at all. My body's telling me what to do. If I get closer to the microphone or if I get further away, it kind of knows what to do because it's an ear.
Right. physicality. I think some people forget that physicality is an important part of voiceover. You've got to be able to gesticulate and have room and not bang into your microphone stand
Oh man,
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
And ergonomics is super important in your studio, in your booth, because you need to be able to do that and have your script at the right place. So many times people have the script and I just read it from my phone, or I hold it on a piece of paper. It's like, no, that's like everything. The script is everything. It's got to be like right where you can see it. And yeah, so physicality is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's how you create your 3D world that you're speaking in. So you got to know where everything's located. You need to know what your perspective is in it, and that's where they're just there. It incrementally gets in the body. You can't just say tomorrow I'm going to be great.
We say that it doesn't always happen, but
Yeah, it has its own schedule.
Well, lots of praise from our viewers here. AJB voice actor says, "Hey Elaine, I just bought your book from Google Books."
Yay! Thank you.
Doesn't say which book, maybe all of them, but the whole.
Just
the whole
all of
series.
them.
Yeah, there you go. Tracy Rawls says, "I took a couple of workshops from Elaine at her studios about 2001 or so. Her teaching helped me gain agency representation. Nice to see her here. Nice to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you anyway."
Fiber Jazz says, "I don't even have a mic yet, and I already want to hire." I don't know if they mean they want to get hired or hire.
I think they want to hire Elaine.
They're so excited they didn't. Yeah, I'm nervous with all the emphasis that I hear about conversational style. My normal speech is quite animated. Am I in trouble?
So it's a matter of your range. That goes back to the power box. So if you're very animated and they want it very condensed, you have to bring it down. So it's like if you take your hands and you put tension on it as you're making it smaller, you're actually engaging more of the muscles in the core. So that's how you can bring it down. And then when you're going, blah, 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 and you're making it really big, a lot of times it's, looser muscles and, kind of like, woo, like doing the wave, woo, I didn't really use any muscles unless you're playing a character that's got some grit, So it's really what I always do when I'm finding a character is what's the core location of the character and how can I build from there? So that's, anyway, it's just how to do that.
Right. Well, he's saying, he says, "I'm nervous with all the emphasis that I hear about conversational style. There are some people that just, they'll send me a demo or so I can hear their audio, and I'm like, oh my God, they're just over the top, trying to be an announcer, thinking that that's what voiceover is, and they're, probably, 50 years behind the times there. How do you get someone to get out of that announcer sort of, mode
mindset?
Yeah.
It's imagination. You have to imagine where you are, what you're doing, why you're talking, what's your purpose. So we all have walked into a room and been too loud and realized it was inappropriate. It doesn't mean that you were not genuine to yourself, but it just meant that it was inappropriate. So you got to figure out the application. And I think that that's why doing some research and knowing what the styles are and how they're going to be used and how you're solving someone else's problem, and then you're just offering the suggestion. That's what you're doing rather than trying to get the next voiceover job and making your voice sound lovely. That's not conversational.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people keep doing that, which is why most people are trying to be in voiceover, and some people are
swinging and a miss. Swinging
and
a miss. Swinging and a miss.
Yeah.
All righty. Great question.
Daniels.
Yeah, great question here. It says, voiceover requires constantly altering / manipulating emotional state to effectively emote. That's quite a sentence right there.
I don't even know if I understand that. Okay.
Okay. Well, can this impact one's emotional mental health stability in life?
Okay. Well, now that's like a major acting question.
Right.
For some people, yes. I think if you're in commercials, we are happy. And that's, I think, one reason why the voiceover people community are very happy people, because you go like, oh no, I have an owie, but it's fixed. It really does. It's very, if you get into video games, they can be more intense. So if there's a mental health issue dealing with a certain kind of game and a certain kind of character, say no. But for commercials and narrations, typically, you don't really have a lot of those issues. Um, just because it's just you have an hour, you fix it. It's all better. It's all about the simplicity. You always have to show the pain point, just like with any business. Going back to the question about how do business execs, I have to recognize what their pain point is, and then work on getting rid of that pain, identifying it, getting rid of it, and then having a solution at the end. That's everything that we pick up. So even George was talking earlier, the pain point was with actors with Source Connect going, how do I use it? And you're going like some of the pain points about to go away, so that
Yeah.
it becomes more actor friendly. And then we go, whoa.
Yeah,
all right.
that's what we're looking for, friendliness. And I think he's wondering if he's going to become like Nicolas Cage, because I think everybody thinks of Nicolas Cage as being the character Nicolas Cage in real life, because
Right.
all they ever see of Nicolas Cage is on movies, right?
Right.
He even did that film where he plays himself in real life as an actor, which is
Right.
hilarious. It's so
It
great.
is. I like that. It's really good.
So I think that there's some concern of that happening. But certainly being an actor, I mean, I'm not an actor at all. Like I have no training and I don't act, but doing the show, hosting this, being on, having to sound articulate, string some words together, improvise a spot for Source Connect for 6 years, all that kind of stuff, that's all skill that's built over time. And it does bleed into real life, because then when you're in it, I find personally that it's easier for me now to be in a mixed situation, sitting down for dinner or lunch with people I don't really know, and I can sometimes I have to dial it back and not be on and feel like I'm hosting, but I feel more comfortable, and it's because of doing this year after year after year. So hopefully whatever you get out of this training and practice and craft of acting and voiceover will always end up being a net positive to you in your personal life, not a negative at all.
That's why it all comes down to communication. I don't really call myself a voiceover coach as much as a communication coach, because it goes through the whole, your whole life. So I would tell people, like, as you learn voiceovers, how you relate to people is very, very similar, because it's not, the art of advertising is never to demand, but to suggest. And so when you suggest change to someone, they're more likely to take it, to make that change, than when you demand it. And so all of a sudden you start doing enough of this, and your regular day job, it starts seeping into your personal life.
Yeah.
So
All
I
righty.
think that's a positive.
Yeah. Well, Elaine, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. But I almost forgot, you also have an informative newsletter that George and I were actually featured in this month. And we're seeing that and going, oh, there's my name somewhere other than, in my mailbox. How can people sign up for it?
Yeah, they can just go to
there
my
it is
website.
right there.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the newsletter one. The other
Yeah.
one, they just put contact. But if you can just go to the ElaineClarkVO.com, there you go. Website. I have a lot of information. It tells a lot about my background, about, it just has the podcast, it has the newsletters, it has events, all sorts of things. Might even put this on my website too.
Ooh.
You're going to be all over the place.
Well, you've just made an appearance, so that belongs in your media and appearances
Absolutely.
section of your website.
There you go. All right, you need some sleep, Elaine. It's clear that you're doing this 24 hours a day. And thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure to see you, no matter where, but it's great having you on our show tonight.
You too. We could just talk forever. So
We
it's
can.
wonderful, and thank you so much for inviting me on your show.
All righty. All right. Well, George and I will be right back to wrap things up and get ready for Tech Talk right after these important messages, so don't go away just yet.
You're still watching VOBS?
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
Well, guess what? It's time to talk about voiceactor.com. Yeah, it's a pretty simple website name, but what they do is websites for voice actors. Makes sense. And it's real easy to be at voiceactor.com. All you have to do is go over there and you'll get your website set up like that, because that's the whole idea. It shouldn't be a pain in the butt to get your website together. If you are a voice actor, you absolutely, positively have to have a website. And if you go over to voiceactor.com, all you have to do is go in there, pick a template. You can change the colors, add pictures, do all this stuff. It's incredibly user-friendly, and you'll be able to get your website up and running in no time. And you can start off for free and actually have your website on the internet, which is where websites are supposed to go. And then it's $20 a month. You get even more features with that. But if you have to have a website, which you absolutely have to do as a voice actor, go over to voiceactor.com, and that'll make things a lot easier for you for getting online. Thanks, voiceactor.com. We'll be right back after this important message.
We are the World Voices Organization,
also known as WOVO. We're the not-for-profit industry association of freelance voice talent. Voiceover is a complex entrepreneurial business.
WOVO is there to promote the professional nature of voice work to the public, to those already established in their voiceover practice,
and to those who want to pursue voiceover as a career.
Membership benefits include
a supportive and creative community,
a profile and demos on voiceover.biz, our searchable directory of vetted professional voice talent,
our exclusive demo player for your personal website,
our mentoring program, business resources, and our video library,
our annual WovoCon conference, a fun and educational weekend with other members with the chance to learn and network,
webinars and great speakers, and weekly social chats with other members around the world.
If your world is voiceover,
make WOVO part of it. World Voices Organization.
We speak for those who speak for a living.
Yeah, hi, this is Carlos Alazraqui, the voice of Rocco, and you're watching VoiceOver Body Shop.
Yeah, you are. And George and I are still here. And thanks again to Elaine Clark. One question there, is her app available for Android?
Yeah,
she
apparently
says it
hasn't
is.
shown up, but she says that it is. We got the thumbs up on that. So,
all right, so
I
look
don't
for
know
it
why
there.
somebody couldn't find it, but look on the Google Play Store for that.
All right. Well, thanks again to Elaine for joining us. She's always a delight to talk to and has a lot to talk about, which is pretty amazing. Next week on this very show, or if you're hanging out with us live right now, and I see a pile of you out there watching the show live, stay with us. We're going to do Tech Talk live in just a couple of minutes, and it's for next week, but you get to watch it live and you get to ask your questions, so that's really important.
Being here
Tech
live
Talk,
has its privileges.
That's right. It'll be Tech Talk 109 next week. George, you've got discounts and services for people?
Yeah, we got the landing page. If you go over to georgethe.tech/VOBS, anything we've got to promote to you guys, like our 10% off coupon code, is right there. So go check it out if you want to get a discount. It's amazing how many sales come in that don't have a discount applied when I've got probably 30 coupon codes floating around at this point. So there's always one, to be found, but that's the one for us. So that's VOBS Fan 10 is our current coupon code.
All righty. And if you like this show, which apparently a bunch of you do because we've only been doing it 12 years, You can donate to the show to maintain the amazing technical quality that everybody's become used to. No longer is it every week it's Apollo 13 like it was 10 years ago.
But you're not allowed to do that until you make a plug for Jeff's IMDb page.
Oh, that's true.
I just noticed that in the Tech Talk area. We didn't put it in this one.
Oh,
so
there it is.
If you want to find our man Jeff Holman in the chat room, go to imdb.com/Jeff Holman. Go hire the man. He seems to know what he's doing on camera.
Yeah, just a great character.
He's
actor.
a pro.
He is. We need to thank our donors of the week because they have helped us maintain this technical amazingness, like Greg Cooper.
Oh, thanks, Greg. Grace Newton.
Christopher Epperson.
Robert Leadham.
Stephen Chandler.
Crazy Clack. Crazy Cracker. Casey Clack, that is.
Jonathan Grant.
Thomas Pinto.
Greg Thomas.
A Dr. Voice.
Antland Productions.
Martha Kahn.
949 Designs.
Sarah Borges.
Philip Sapir.
Brian Page.
Rob Ryder.
Shauna Pennington Baird.
Don Griffith.
Trey Mosley.
Diana Birdsall.
And Maria Makis.
And Sandra Mandler.
I just wanted to get that last and.
And you want to get the and in there. Okay. You can join our mailing list, by the way, and just go to our webpage, vobs.tv, and there's a little thing there that says sign up for our mailing list, and you'll get to know what's going on. We need to thank our sponsors as well. Harlan Hogan's Voiceover Essentials.
Oh, we also have VoiceOver Extra.
Good. Source Elements.
VOHeroes.com.
VoiceActor.com. And WorldVoices.org, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent.
Whoa.
Yes, we also need to thank Jeff Holman. Throw the IMDb thing up there again, and so we can, because Jeff runs our chat room, and he's doing a great job with that. Sue Merlino for being an amazing director and making sure that everything is there when it needs to be there. And Lee Penny, just because he's Lee Penny. Well, stay tuned for Tech Talk right now. You know, this is not an easy business. You've got so many things you got to learn. You can listen to people like Elaine Clark and some of the other great people we have on this show telling you what this business is all about. But when it comes to your audio, we've just come to the conclusion, if it sounds good,
it is good.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
Or VOBS. Stay tuned for Tech Talk.
Everybody can see how cool it looks.
Yeah.
Because I got a hub, but it's all A ports.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you.
Or the adapter.
All right, you can just go.
I can go.
Okay, I'll email you. I got to talk to you about some other stuff too. All right.
All the hubs are A ports these days. No C.
Well, thank you. Well, you have a great time.
All righty.
Oh, it'll.
Do I need to do anything to get out of here?
I can just remove you, but I'm not. I can kick you from the studio, but I could ban you as well. But I think I'll just
ban
you'll
her.
never do that.
Banish her.
Ban her.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty.
All right, I'm going to switch cameras. I'm going to go to my wide camera.
Okay. All right, everybody stick around right now. We're just re-racking it for Tech Talk. If you've got a tech question for us, throw it in the chat room, whether you're watching on Facebook or wherever it is that you're watching from. There you go. There's your other Is that your phone now?
Yeah, it's my phone.
Oh, okay.
This is the noisy booth that's next to me that's been being constructed the whole time.
Yeah, and every time he backs up, we're going to get beep, beep.
Yeah, this is Sirius XM money right here. That's what you're looking at.
Oh, okay.
They heard about podcasting.
Yes, I mean they've got a studio that runs podcasting stuff for them.
Yeah, they're a big deal.
They are, and I do a lot of work for Sirius, so that's
sweet,
nice. All right,
we're gonna get a demo here live with Ryan from Rhodes, so that's a special treat.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, excellent.
And we're gonna plug in a Rodecaster Duo right into a power bank, so we can actually show it light up in real time. We'll turn it on and let you guys see.
All right. All right. Well, we have no idea how we're going to format this, but we'll wing it because that's what we do.
This is going to be the Tech Talk segment. So
yeah.
And then, I'm gonna Donahue him.
Okay.
Hello.
Like that.
All righty.
And we'll be ready to rock and roll. Your headphone is here.
I'm in.
Is that volume okay?
It is great.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Are
so
we
Ryan
ready?
was gracious enough to do this because they just flew in.
And boy, are their arms tired.
He just flew in. We together we like ran back and forth across the Gaylord Convention Center hotel complex 3 times, trying to figure out where their stuff is. Here's the camera, by the way. Trying to figure out where the stuff is.
Right.
And then they finally located everything, had a quick dinner, and then set up the booth over here. So it's fun to have him sit down with us tonight. So this will be fun.
Super.
So
All
yeah,
right.
we're
We all
ready to go.
set?
So we're gonna watch our producer Sue right here.
Hello, Sue.
She's going to count us in, and then Dan will go to us and do the cold open, and then we'll go to an opening commercial.
Okay, great.
All right, here we go. Whenever you're ready, Sue. 3, 2.
Hey, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk number 109.
109, baby.
Boy, unbelievable. 109 Tech Talks. Anyway, we've got a very special one tonight. We've got Ryan White joining us from Rode Microphones tonight, too. Great to have you with us because there's lots of cool stuff that Rode has.
Say hi, Ryan.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right. Lots of great stuff that
We're
George
Podcast Movement here
Yeah.
in Denver. And we're in the middle of the expo show floor, which I thought would be a relatively calm place to do it. But we had sound checking and booth building going on all around. So it seems to have calmed down now. So we should have a nice little time to chat with Ryan here.
All righty. VoiceOver Body Shop Tech Talk. Lots of cool stuff coming up right now. VoiceOver Body Shop Tech Talk is brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the folks who bring you Source Connect. VOHeroes.com, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActor.com, your voiceover website ready in minutes. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And by World Voices, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George. Well, hello there. I'm Dan Leonard.
I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
Or VOBS.
BS.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk. Okay. So, George, tell us again where you are and why it's a little noisy in the background there.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten the noise floor down a bit. I'm going to do the share the mic technique here between the two of us since the noise level came down a bit. Spoke too soon.
As it picks up again, right?
Yeah, there goes the scissor lift. So I'll go close mic again. Yeah, we're here at Podcast Movement, and I was able to get in here. A lot of it thanks in part to BSW and Rode. They hooked me up with a greatly discounted pass, which was really helpful because showing up to Podcast Movement it's not cheap. There's a fair cost involved to attend the show, and it's because of the sheer volume of content is massive. So I'm going to be here all week just trying to suck in as much useful information as well as try to share some of my own information with people and do some networking. So after we get through the intro to the show, Ryan's going to give us a little rundown of the Rodecaster Duo during the Tech Talk segment.
Excellent.
Tech News.
Excellent. Yeah, so if you're just joining us for the first time here at VoiceOver Body Shop Tech Talk, we talk about home voiceover studio stuff. And since George is at Podcast Movement, there are some parallels of audio for podcasting as there is for voiceover. And George and I know how to deal with both of those things because we both do them.
Yeah.
We've been doing it a long time.
We talk the talk and walk the walk.
And we've been walking that walk and talking that talk for 12 years now at VoiceOver Body Shop. So not only have we been doing the show a long time, but we've been doing home voiceover studios and recording stuff for much longer than that. And if you need to have your studio built right, it doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be the Taj Mahal. It can be your walk-in closet. There's all sorts of places you can do it, but you have to know how. And it's not the equipment, it's how you use it. Yeah. But if you need to know what it is you got to have and how to use it, you can work with one of us. For example, if you want to work with George, where do they go?
You can head over to georgethe.tech. And not only can you work with me, you can work with a whole bunch of us, because we are actually a collective of the greatest tech people in our midst. And we have an amazing amount of resources. Of course, we have the huge library of content we've already generated in our webinars area. We've got a lot of free resources. We've got our gear recommendations and trusted vendors pages. And of course, you can just get a sound check. The most valuable thing that we do is a sound check over at georgethe.tech. Dan, I like the name that you gave your sound check. What do you do over your place?
Well, over at homevoiceoverstudio.com, I have my specimen collection cup.
Yes.
Which, you can deposit an MP3 of your audio, and I want it raw. This is just going in the sewer all
still warm.
Yeah, it's I want
fresh.
Your raw audio. I don't want to hear what kind of processing you're doing and all this stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing. I want to hear the clean, raw sound of your studio. So if we have to make adjustments, we can do that. It's just $25 for the analysis. I will give you a very thorough analysis. Ask anybody that I've done that for, and they'll tell you, yeah, that was really, really thorough. So anyway, and of course you can communicate with both of us if you just write to us at theguys@vobs.tv right there. So all sorts of ways to get a hold of us. So anyway, it's time for George's tech update, and since he's at Podcast Movement and he has a guest with him whose card just happens to be still sitting on my desk right here.
What a quinky-dink.
I know. Why don't you tell people about Ryan and what he's doing there?
Well, I've got Ryan White here with me. We've met for the first time in person at VO Atlanta, right?
Indeed.
100%. We were both at VO Atlanta, and I've known and worked with Rode Products for a really long time. They've also been a supporter of another show I'm on called the Pro Audio Suite. And so I have a long relationship with Rode. So thanks to them, I'm here because of that relationship, and I would not have probably have come had it not been for that little boost from them. So that out of the way, I thought this would be a really cool opportunity to be able to sit down and actually talk to Ryan in a relatively quiet environment. And since he's showing a new product today, we could get a little sneak preview of it. It's pretty new, just starting to ship, right?
100%. Just starting to ship. It's $4.99 full price, and it is 2 channels less than the previous version. So it's for those people who are looking for the compact version of the Rodecaster Pro 2.
That's right. It's the Rodecaster Pro Shrunken, which, a lot of folks have looked at the Rodecaster Pro 2 in the voiceover realm because first of all, it looks freaking cool. It's covered in lights, has a lot of cool features, but it's too big, so they shrunk it. And this is the Rodecaster Pro Duo. So who was this for? Obviously, it was mostly podcasters in mind, but who else do you think are going to find they get a good use out of the Rodecaster Duo?
The first thing I always mention for both the Rodecaster Pro 2 and the Duo are that they have the new preamps inside of them. So you're getting 76 dB of as clean of gain as you can possibly get inside of a prosumer style piece of gear. So you're not going to have to break the bank specifically on a preamp and then integrate that into your circuit or otherwise, or a bunch of different outboard gear to get that clean gain. Right from the desk, you're going to be able to actually achieve that with those preamps that are inside of it. So those are our new Revolution pre's.
So here it is.
Wow. Now I'm using a Rodecaster, the first one.
Yeah.
It's what's really different about it. It really
it's condensed.
It's condensed. It's all the same stuff.
It's just condensed. So it's obviously a smaller footprint. So it's going to be a lot more friendly to a compact or cramped desk, right?
Exactly. So the Rodecaster Pro 1, I won't get too deep into the differences in the 2 versus the 1. That's where we really took the idea of the Rodecaster Pro and and just drove it home. Like I said, with those preamps and just a lot more features on board, dual USB output and various features like that. With the Duo versus the Rodecaster Pro 2, we wanted to keep the exact same board. That's why the price is where it's at, is because you're getting the exact same feature set minus 2 channels. So you lose 2 faders for your mic, 2 mic channels, I should say. And it's still mic, line, and all of the inputs, instrument inputs, all that stuff, but you only get 2. So if I show you the back side of it right here, you're just going to see the 2. Right next to it, you're going to get the 2 channels of headphone output instead of 4 channels of headphone output. It still has your line level outputs for speakers or for Ascend if you're wanting to use it in that manner. And then on the front, you're going to notice that there's 6 pads instead of 8. One thing we did add to this that the 2 does not have is we put the TRRS jack right back where it belongs on the board. So it's actually in front now, and it goes perfectly with our NTH100Ms, which will have the microphone. I have the NTH100s. Technically, I do have the NTH100Ms because I have the microphone right over there.
I want to try that out.
And you should try that out before we leave the show.
We will.
Exactly. So now you actually have that feature set back on the Rodecaster Duo.
So that jack on the front is a TRRS jack, right? It's a headset jack.
It is a headset jack as well as a microphone input. So when you're on the channels, you can actually assign it as an input for a channel.
Very cool. So that no matter what kind of headset you have, whether it's like a more of a mobile device headset or a gamer headset, you can plug it in.
Yeah. When you guys came out with this originally, George and I were looking at it, and it was designed specifically, I think, for podcasting, because you've got 4 channels and all that kind of stuff. But we immediately saw that it would be very valuable for voice actors. Not that you need 4 inputs unless you have 3 other people around you, but it had a lot of cool features that made it very useful for voice actors, especially if you're doing remote stuff and those sorts of things. Have a lot of people come back to you from the voiceover business and said, hey, this actually works for voiceover too, because it sounds great. It's got those great preamps and so much versatility. And of course, I still love the pads and all that stuff that you can throw in there, which is
exactly.
Or like when things get quiet, I throw a girl from Ipanema on there. It just makes it a lot easier.
That's the dead air button.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we did. We put everything on this, and so whether you're talking about the Rodecaster Pro 2 or the Rodecaster Duo, you are still talking to voiceover actors the exact same as you are for podcasters. We actually call this a production desk now, a production studio instead of a podcast studio. And so we can talk all day long about the gain structure of a Rodecaster Pro 1, a cloud lifter, need it, don't need it, dynamic mic, condenser mic. In your world in voiceover, we're working on condenser microphones, which typically have that gain structure, but you need it to be as clean as humanly possible. So once they actually brought that into the 2, shut down that conversation real quick about clean gain. And then with the Duo, now it's for those people specifically that are maybe multifaceted, but not needing 4 people, right? And if you don't need 4 different plugins, even if you're doing guitars or music or some kind of other thing into your production, then the Duo can suit you. If you are, in fact, using 4 different channels and you need that all on one board with clean gain, you can go right back to the 2, no problem.
Yeah, if you know how to use one, you know how to use the other. They have the same underpinnings. And then tell us a little bit about the capabilities on board that you get with this, which again are shared with the 2.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things, so we talked about the preamps. With the Rodecaster Pro 1, the original versus the 2 and then the Duo was combo jack. So I do have the versatility to plug in even high-end outboard gear if I would like to add that into my signal chain, a console for matter.
Those are the combo jacks. They look like an XLR with a big hole in the middle. Those are combo jacks. If you ever hear that term, that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. Thanks for clarifying. Absolutely, because that will accept a 1/4 inch for a guitar, or like I said, your TRS cables from a console or otherwise. So you can integrate it into existing signal flow as well, whereas you couldn't with the original. But again, to the design of it, we wanted it to be an all-in-one place. Right now, I am literally plugging it into a portable power bank, and it is powering the entire unit. And so we are literally as portable as we possibly can. And inside of the board with these 2 channels or the 4 on the 2, you have de-essing, roll-offs, compression, all that processing that, again, you may not want to use if you don't have a good initial sound. But once you have that good initial sound, then you add those features onto it. And I always just tell people that you're have produced for the final product, right? If you do it right, you might even be right there towards mastering and finishing your product for distribution.
One thing I like is I just set up a Rodecaster Pro 2 for Cloud 10 Media. And one thing I found in setting it up and using it, I actually have one myself as well, but I don't use the record function. I love that you can record dry and monitor wet. And what does that mean? It means that the talent on the show, listening in headphones, the people interacting with each other, they can be benefited by having some processing in their headphones, right? It can reduce some of the background noise or distractions, and it can clean up what they hear in the headphones. There's a couple reasons why some processing would be nice. But you can track that recording without the processing. And you can choose to send that recording to the computer via USB also without processing. And that's really a really cool feature because you're not stuck with the processing, right? What you hear live while you're doing a performance, whether it be podcasting, whether it be acting, really, is not necessarily what you want on the finished product. It can be, and if you're a good engineer and you're really good at doing that stuff live, it's not easy, but if you're good at it, then you can commit it. But otherwise, you don't have to worry about that, which is really clever about the way this thing is designed.
We fully came into this with the idea, and honestly, with the original, we learned a lot along the way as well. I don't know how many firmware updates we had from the one.
I was there from the very beginning. I had it when it first came out, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice if every 3 to 6 months, new firmware, it was like the product had a rebirth. It was mind-blowing.
It 100% did, and then we did get to the point to where the processing inside just couldn't quite keep up. A lot of people asking for reverb and various effects, and now as many people know, the 2 and the Duo have reverb and echo, and you can become a monster and whatever effect you want to add to your microphone channel. And then to your point as well, one of the last things I'll mention to anyone, this is not meaning that this is the last thing I'm mentioning here, is just that 2 USB ports are available to you. But what most people don't understand is that's 3 I/O. And it gets very daunting and confusing.
This is where things get off. I love talking about this stuff, but it gets a little complicated. So why are there 2 ports, and why is that 3 interfaces on 2 ports?
And I won't get too crazy, too techie, right? But the idea here is that inside of your computer, you got to have a communication between the audio interface, which is essentially what this is acting like when you plug it into another device. And on the main channel, on USB 1 rather, you have main and chat. So in most cases, what a lot of our audience is looking for is that conversation between, let's use video gaming for an example, right? Now for voiceover, I like to talk about it a lot in signal flow. You can choose 2 different places to go if you are in fact doing a live stream like we're doing right now, or if you're trying to record in multi-track so that you can have a wet dry post dry and while you're there wet.
Well, I mean, a common scenario for voiceover is you are the engineer.
Right.
You're recording yourself. You're facilitating the communications patch. That could be Zoom or whatever it is at Google Meet, whatever the heck they want to use, right? Then you get the dreaded, hey, will you play back that take? I think that was the one. Can you play that back? This can make that super easy, right?
Absolutely.
One of the reasons I liked it so much is that you could do that.
Exactly. So with the 2 USBs, you're literally sending and returning twice over to whatever means you would like. And then if you plug in a second USB port, that USB 2, you get secondary engaged as well. What a lot of people in that production, especially to that level, will do is plug in a second computer and then have that playback, have producer mode, any kind of like extra send and or return. I love a second computer for the output to a stream, so that one chat and main are kind of being things that I'm manipulating live, like you said, a Zoom conversation or something like that. But if I have a final destination that doesn't get changed much, I want that in a secondary place, so I'll use the second for that as well. And you have different choices in multi-channel or stereo, pre or post, and just a lot of signal flow things that could be daunting or scary. But the other thing that I'll bring back on is that you can plug it in today and just start recording and or sending and returning on your computer, and it's just as easy as plugging it in.
Another nice feature, if you do use monitor speakers, is the frustration of having to always make sure that the mic in your studio and the monitors are not feeding each other, or you're not getting that dreaded PA system feedback loop. This lets you control that, right? You can say, when my mic is on, my speakers are off.
Exactly. We have the auto mute monitor output function. And then to that extent, we also have like auto mute and Bluetooth, so that if you're not getting a feedback loop either physically through speakers or a SIN that you don't want to get that feedback loop through. And it's not necessarily a auxiliary SIN or anything like that. It's just saying as soon as one of those microphones is sending any form of signal, boom, mute your speakers.
Yeah.
So
What I really liked about it when I first saw it was having coming out of broadcasting, it just reminded me of a broadcasting board. That it's got, you have an audition channel, you can mute the mic, really easily just by, and then you're muted. So if you got a cough, you can do that. But it's just a great unit. I'm really cool. It's really cool that you guys have, brought out a line of these, to fit for every purpose.
Yeah, they've iterated, and they've iterated because they listen to the users. Like this thing was designed. The Rodecaster Pro 2 was designed by the users, right? In a way, right?
Absolutely. If you were on Facebook or whatever platform you wanted to pick, our Instagram channel was hot. Where it was just here's a new product or here's a new video about it, and then inside of those chats, you could see Rode microphones actually show up. So we were there in the conversation all along the way, trying to not only just answer questions about how to do it if you're not aware of how to do it. Yeah. But to then take notes on what was highly sought after with reason, right? And that's the other thing as a manufacturer, you want to appease everybody that you can, maximize it as much as humanly possible. And I think we did an absolute terrific job, like I said, right from the RCP1, where it kind of caught us off guard, and then we just ran with it. And that never stopped with the 2, and it's still going to the best of our ability. We brought back the TRRS check. A lot of people asking for that.
Yeah, they wanted to see it again, so you took that opportunity and put it on a product. So, what else do you have? I mean, I guarantee that I'll have some time to shoot some packages while I'm here. Yeah. What else did you bring along today with BSW?
The one question that I think a lot of people are asking, because George and I have been talking about it for months now since we were in Atlanta for VO Atlanta, and that's the NT1 5th Gen, which is just an amazing microphone. At a great price point, and it's just, tell us about it, and then you can try and explain 32-bit float to our audience, because they're all lost.
First, tell us which side of the mic to speak into.
Yeah, that's more important, too.
The gold dot, our branding. You can see it on my T-shirt, underneath my badge and everything. But yes, it is a side address microphone, large diaphragm, cardioid pattern, condenser microphone, if I didn't say that. And yes, you're going to talk right into the front side here. And Rode has long since the gold dot, a wonderful branding piece for us, has been right underneath the capsule. So you're going to aim right for that spot, right above that gold dot. And it is cardioid, so if you do in fact talk into the other side of it, you're going to be reduced significantly in both frequency response and gain. So that's going to be a problem for you for sure. But the 5th generation of this, as the name would suggest, it is our 5th rendition of the NT1. And that does include our NT1 anniversary, which is still around and live and kicking. But what we did was introduce our dual connectivity. So inside the XLR port, you have a USB port as well as an XLR port. And so the XLR port is just your traditional analog. With the lighting, where there's no way we're going to see that USB-C tucked in there, but I promise you it's in there.
It's there.
Yeah, great. And the USB-C is then going to allow us to 100% use this as an audio interface and a digital microphone right into our computer. So if you open up a 32-bit float session on your computer in a DAW, you can then record this in 32-bit float. The simple thing that I'll tell you about 32-bit float is, like I said, this becomes your audio interface that your computer is communicating with. So it's transforming the microphone audio, that analog voltage, into a digital signal. We do this 4 times over, George. I don't know if you knew that, but we have 4 audio interfaces.
Yeah, this is something I started to grok from the great YouTube videos you guys have, and then also talking to you.
Yeah, and most people that have created 32-bit float, they're wonderful devices. They are magical, and it all comes from that algorithm that's inside of it that I'll get to in a sec. But most people do 2 audio interfaces inside of there. So we actually did 4 with this. We put the Revolution preamps inside of it 4 times over, taking that into, like I said, it's essentially 4 audio interfaces, and we'll record it at 4 levels. So if you take the entire headroom of the microphone, we record it at 4 levels inside of the entire headroom of it. And then in a digital magical algorithm, you can actually recall that in post in your 32-bit session. So if you go to loud and you're clipping, well, the microphone still recorded that properly at a lower gain. You just have to go move your window into that lower gain. And so it's an unclippable microphone at that point. And so do any performances you would like at an average level, and then you'll be able to save that if it clips or is too quiet in post.
But you don't have to make that decision as the engineer producer. The thing that took me a while to wrap my head around is you don't have to go, oh, I need to find, like there's 4 signals, right? The combination of those 4, the algorithmic combination, if you could say that, is happening for you.
Yes.
That's the important part, right? You don't have to go into your DAW, find 4 essentially tracks of audio, find the right signal one, and then comp them together, re-edit them. It just happens. It just happens at the output, and all you have to do is make a signal correction. I've been using Normalize to do that. Is that what you recommend?
I think Normalize is a great place to start. And what I've been pitching to most people in this from an application standpoint, right? Forget about the nerdiness of how it happens, because I promise you could get lost in the math of it all. But we don't really care, right? When in the end, we want to know how to use it properly and why to use it. And I talk about performance. It just doesn't stop the session. So if you record it at whatever level, again, you start at an average, and then you can go into that session and then fine tune it. We also met the guys at Hindenburg at that same time at VO Atlanta, and they showed me their auto gain function. So a Normalize is a great way to do it. Hindenburg has software where it can auto gain it down, but you're going to get to choose. Let's say you don't want it to be you don't even want it coming close to that negative 0.1 dBFS, right? If you want that negative 12 as a max peak, you just then normalize it to negative 12 max peak, right? And obviously every DAW or plugin that you use to do this will be there, but Normalize is a great place to start to get it to the peak that you want, and then you'll need to still find your averages later.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, what's fascinating about this is Rode mics are traditionally and legendarily very quiet, which is very important in this particular situation, because if you're normalizing a really low signal, a lot of times you will get the extra noise that a mic produces, but Rode mics don't seem to do that. Well, how is it that you've accomplished such quiet mics?
I unfortunately can't speak on the manufacturing side of it, but I was, before even an employee of Rode Microphones, a fan of that, because their NT1A, even their tube microphones, the NTK, the NT1A, I believe, was 5 dBA soft noise, or 5, and then the NT1/4 was 4.5, and this one is 4. So again, without the nerdy speak, 4 dBA of self noise is very, very, very quiet. So every bit of circuitry has some form of inherent noise. Again, we introduced the Revolution preamps, which are reaching the theoretic limit of how quiet a preamp can be with any form of circuitry, which it is a circuit. You have to have something. Yeah. So Rode is always actively going after those two things. And as just a customer before being an employee, I was looking at the NT1A because of its frequency response curve, its low signal, its low noise floor, and then of course its budget-friendly price was great, but it was also relatively good gain. So it had a lot of headroom along with quiet noise floor, which also tends to not be a thing very often. So you either have a really quiet mic and therefore the output's a little quieter too, or condenser microphones, we have a lot of headroom in it versus a dynamic microphone. But when you can maximize that entire return, it just screams great. For voiceover especially, when you throw it into a digital microphone like you're talking about, one that can save it in post, you have to have a quiet microphone. You can't do it otherwise.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a break right now, and
then we're going to get to questions.
And then we have a pile of questions. Can Ryan stick around for a while?
I don't know. Maybe? Do you really want to?
I have a few minutes. I'd love to answer a few.
All right.
All right. We'll see if we can get him to stick around a little longer.
All right. We'll be right back after these messages. Do not go away.
This is Ariana Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
Setting up for voiceover recording on the road can be a real hassle. You can't bring your boom stand with you. The solution? After 6 long months, Harlan Hogan's VoiceOverEssentials.com finally has their popular desktop stand back in stock. The Harlan Hogan Adjustable Height Desktop Stand fits US and all international microphones with its thread adapter. It features quick assembly and has a low center of gravity for great stability, making it great for home and on the road. The two-way adjustable desk stand gives you infinite height adjustment from 5.5 to 8.75 inches. And the rubber-ringed, low-profile base fits perfectly into the pre-cut desk stand slot of both the Portabooth Pro and Plus. They're back, and they're keeping the pre-shortage price. Damn inflation has become their motto. The Harlan Hogan Adjustable Height Desktop Mic Stand, just $39.95, and only at voiceoveressentials.com.
All right, well, I'll put the camera on me because it's all about me and our friends at Source Connect. Actually, at Source Elements. The company is Source Elements, the product is Source Connect, and the other product that is being used still today by a lot of productions is Source Nexus. Think of Source Nexus as a switchboard that lets engineers and producers bring audio in and out of things like Pro Tools or whatever their multi-track recording environment is, and makes it much easier for them to create this sometimes challenging signal routing and have it all happen inside the system. Well, this is an amazing technology. Something that the actor it's really transparent to the actor because it's happening on the studio end, but it makes it much easier. At the end of the day, though, the one that you are going to be most concerned about learning and using is Source Connect. Now, getting on board with Source Connect has been made a lot easier, partly because they've got a lot more support over at Source Elements. There's a lot more people over there that are there to help you. So if you want to get their help, I highly recommend that you do start out with a subscription. Yes, you can get a 15-day free trial, but if you start with a subscription, which starts at around $100, you will now actually have their support to walk you through a tremendous amount of stuff. And let's face it, their support is award-winning. I was just nominated for Best Service Provider at One Voice Conference along with Source Elements, and they won second year in a row because people love their support. Anyway, if you want to check them out, go over to source-elements.com, and we really want to thank them for helping us out here. And let's get back to those questions right after this.
Oh, hey, I am about to shoot the fourth of 5 lessons in this year's big old course that I'm giving away for free called Getting Started in VO, Thriving in the AI World, where we meet what it takes to get into the world of voiceover, what it takes to be better at voiceover, with the incursion of artificial intelligence, and maybe some things that you can take advantage of in terms of artificial intelligence as well. So we're in the midst, it's been a banger. We're in the midst of 5 lessons, all free. If you go to voheroes.com/go, you'll get those lessons. And it will culminate with the opportunity to join as a VO Heroes Pro at a very special price with some very special bonuses. But first, take the free class. Just go to voheroes.com/go. That's voheroes.com/go, and I'll see you for all 5 lessons, and let's see what happens with your VO career.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, and you are watching VoiceOver Body Shop. It's great.
And we're back.
And we are back. And Ryan White is joining us from Rode. We've got lots and lots of questions here.
Yes, we do.
Starting off with Chris Dempsey, who says, I'm new to voiceover and building a home studio. Sometimes you don't put the cart before the horse. You got to be good at voiceover before you build the studio. Now, this is the interesting part. He says, I see a pile of information on how to build a home studio, but not seeing anything showing how to break it in. Well, first off, how to build a home voiceover studio. Talk to somebody who actually knows what that means, which is, according to, from what I can see, it's a handful of people on the face of the earth that truly understand what a home voiceover studio is supposed to be. It is not supposed to be something with a huge board and processors and all these different things, although the Rode Procaster and Procaster 2 and Duo probably do a great job with that and probably give you everything you need that every time you walk into a recording studio and you see in the wall and the racks, it's all pretty much reduced down to something small. But the question is, how do you break it in? By this, I mean, What recording should I do first? I suppose recording the room would be a start. What am I looking for? How would you set things up? Hardware and software. Well, that's a lot of questions, George.
And it goes on. I am
And it
using
goes-
a Rode NT1G5, as you reviewed a few shows ago, with a Scarlett 2i2 3rd Gen audio interface into a Windows 10 laptop with Audacity. I'm really enjoying your show, and I feel like I'm getting a lot out of it. Okay, thanks for that.
Well, okay.
Yeah, you're asking a mountain of things in one question. So where you should start is simple. That's why the Rode NT1, this is the NT, by the way, if you're wondering, this is the Rode NTG5. This is a shotgun microphone. It's a great mic, but it's not the first mic I do recommend a voice actor starting with, because mic technique on a mic like this is a bit more challenging. You have to be on target. If you move off target, the sound changes dramatically. That's why as I'm sitting here interviewing Ryan, I have to be really careful
To talk over,
to
talk,
make
sound,
on
axis. I did.
No
I was just
rehearsal.
making noises.
Exactly. You have to be really on target and on axis with a mic like this, because it sounds off. It sounds out of focus. With a large diaphragm condenser like the NT1, it's going to be much easier to work with because you have a wider pickup pattern, right? If I was to plug this in, and I can do this because I'm a stunt man. With a mic like this, I can move the mic around, and I can physically move around the microphone tremendously without sounding off microphone. And this is
go ahead and talk to the back of it, like
right.
you told us about. Right?
However, if you don't speak into the gold dot, this is what you're going to get. So it's a very strange sound. There's a little low. There's some low end, a little bit of high end, and a giant hole in the middle, which is where your voice resides. So if you hear this, you know you're talking to the wrong side of the mic. So first, start with the mic pointing the right way. Start with the mic at a decent distance. I like to start here, and if your booth is not great, if you're in a closet or something, maybe start here distance-wise, okay? Now you also have a Scarlett. You can use them together, and it depends on your workflow. Sometimes having an interface outside of the mic is nice because you have a physical gain knob. However, I am going to do some tutorial videos soon on George the Tech that are about recording with this mic plugged in with USB and talking about how 32-bit float will make your life easier. Because one of the things that Dan and I deal with all the time is teaching people how to set their gain. And it seems like it should be easy conceptually, and we talk about it ad nauseum. But if you don't learn how to do that first, after you learn about mic technique and stuff, you're going to get some crappy recordings. So we can't get into the depths of it here. We're here to tell you about how to get us when you need and when you want to learn and to get into depth with it. That's why we're here to introduce you to our services. But we hope you aren't too intimidated with voiceover technology. You have to keep in mind there's a lot of people in voiceover who also love the technology. I deal with the majority of the folks who don't love the technology, who find it intimidating, scary, and confusing. So if you're feeling a little bit more on that direction, you might want to work with Dan or I, because we're here to help you navigate that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a lot to learn. But you got to be careful when you go on the internet. There's a tremendous amount of misinformation out there. You're not doing rap videos, you're doing voiceover. There's a lot of different techniques and stuff like that. But you got to learn, if you're doing voiceover, you have to really learn the techniques and the proper setup for voiceover.
And there's a lot, on the internet, on the forums and the groups and the YouTubes and now the Discord channels and servers, there's a lot of one-wayism, because you'll hear one person who's a working actor, and they like to kind of share how they do it. And so you'll feel like, if I don't buy what they're using and don't choose what they're using, I may not have a chance at getting that great audio. So, a little investment in some consulting with Dan or I is absolutely going to be worth it in the long run. You won't overspend, you won't buy the wrong stuff, and your room will be dialed in, and that's what's so important. So We really know whistle. Dan's coined the phrase whistle. I love it. We know what it's supposed to sound like. And we will teach you that so that you recognize that in your studio and in your headphones when you record. Until you know that, you're going to be lost in the dark because you'll never even know why it doesn't sound the way it's supposed to sound, and you won't be able to get there. So we hope that helps a little bit.
All righty.
Let's get on to the next question.
Yeah, Patricia Andrea, who always has a great question, has a really good question. She says, where do we learn about terminology like leads, loops, and things like that? Well, watching our show probably is one place to start, but what are some other places you can think of?
I mean, there are glossaries. Does Rode have a terminology glossary on their site?
We don't, and it's one of the things, not that I can think of right off the top of my head, actually, and it's going to be one of the things that I'll find like on our blog site, because we do have a blog site and everything like that as well. So,
yeah.
I always lead people to our YouTube channel because it is verified. And it's the information where you're going to get it from Rode.
Yeah.
Even if it is some content creator, it is verified by us about the truth of what you're seeing and what you're hearing. So as far as the glossaries, not a dictionary of Rode terms. you know.
I had one on my last website, and when we built the new website, we have to populate that on the new site, and it's just been so time consuming. So we do have a glossary of audio terms on georgethee.tech. It's just rather incomplete for now until we populate the entire thing. So one of these days I'll get around to filling it in. But if you do go over there, go to the resources page at georgethee.tech and check out the glossary. There's a start to it. It's just not as comprehensive as we'd like it to be.
Yeah. Next question from Fiber Jazz. I heard someone say not to rely on Wi-Fi to plug directly into the internet. Does that mean to unplug my modem and plug my computer into that jack? Sorry, just trying to learn this tech stuff. Okay.
Oh, sure.
So you got your Cat 5 cable here, which is this guy, and you go into your. Depends on what you're using. If you have a router, you plug it into the router, or you can go directly into the modem. But it
Any
depends
modern
what kind of a
internet
modem you
connection,
have.
They're going to have a router. Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a router, you just plug it right in. You have a Cat 5 jack on your computer or a USB adapter for that, and the other end goes into the modem. And yeah, I think George, he's primarily probably talking about Source Connect, and that you really do have to have a hard line for that.
We definitely recommend a hardwire connection for not just Source Connect, but any real-time audio or video transmission. I've been flying without a net tonight. I'm using the actual convention Wi-Fi, which is generally considered
it's working
absolutely not a good idea. But the good thing is I'm one of the only people probably on the connection right now because it's before the show starts. We'll see how it goes in the next couple of days, right? But because there's very few people here, I have a good Wi-Fi connection. At home, if your router is nearby and you don't have a family of 7 watching Netflix and playing games, your Wi-Fi will probably be fine. But if you're unlucky and your Wi-Fi router is at the other corner of your house,
yeah, funny anecdote was that my wife was like, why are you drilling holes in our walls? Yeah, and I was literally running the internet from our farthest northeast corner to the southwest corner upstairs just to get a wired Ethernet port upstairs where my office is and where my home studio is, because that's all I'm doing 24/7. That's my job.
Yeah, we want the fattest, fastest, but also the most reliable pipe, and that's still going to be a hardwired connection. So we recommend it, and that's what you got to do. There are some adapters. There's something called a Powerline Ethernet adapter. I've hooked them up for a lot of people, and the pro of those is you're not wireless. You actually are on a wire technically because it's using your household wire. However, your household wiring for the internet. However, the speeds usually suffer when you're using those. So they're good for consistency and they'll work great for Source Connect, but for just sheer speed, uploading, downloading files, they're usually nowhere near as fast. So there you go.
All righty. Lots of great questions. Here's an interesting one, because you were talking about this the other day, George. It's from Jonathan Grant, who's watching on YouTube. He says, hi, guys. An update on the UPS RFI program. That's the UPS meaning the
uninterruptible power
supply,
not the brown trucks.
Right. This unit was actually in the next room at my development desk, not plugged into the wall, running on battery, and still emitting RF. When it's time to replace the battery, toss that thing in the garbage if you have a mic in the same building. Thanks for being awesome. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I once in a blue moon, we find out that the thing making the noise is the thing that we bought to hope that there would be no noise. There's a lot of UPSs out there. The best ones are, they'll have power filtration. They might have AVR, which is automatic voltage regulation. And the really good ones are what we call online pure sine UPSs. Those are the expensive ones. They're not the ones you're going to get at Staples. You're going to have to buy these online through a computer retailer. But what those do is they actually take the power coming in, convert it to DC, I believe, is what's happening. It's so in that process, the power is basically being scrubbed, right?
Yep.
And then it's converted back to AC internally in a very clean, pure way. So what you end up getting is this purified power. And those are really expensive. And I've even found that those units themselves make noise. So you buy one, you put it in your studio to get rid of noise, and the thing's over here with a fan running or it's buzzing. So whatever you do, try to eliminate the gear with the most complexity, because sometimes that's what's causing noise. And in his case, it was the UPS.
Anytime anybody texts road gear, I ask them to take it to their largest room that's most isolated from anything really, and just get it on its own isolated power and everything. You gotta get
clean
your
power.
Audio gear away from things if you're having problems.
And get it away from the fridge.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we can squeeze in one or two more questions.
Oh, we got time here for a few more. You get the one from Elaine Clark here.
All right, we're going to have an impact hammer going. Hey guys, I like the hairdos you had on your website pictures last week. Why, thank you.
Yeah.
What technology would you suggest for a newbie to replace a laptop with a noisy fan without breaking the budget? Well, budget, you really need to be specific about budget, because there are budget points all over the board. I'm always going to be going Apple. Just get that right out of the gate. I'm going to be recommending an Apple. And I'm going to be recommending to you, get a MacBook Air 1st Gen. It's called the M1 series. Absolutely fanless. You can find them brand new. I think at Costco is doing like $750.
Yeah, saw it this last weekend. $700, something like that. Yeah.
$700 for a brand new MacBook Air. And if you're really resourceful, you might be able to find a refurbished one. Maybe save $100. But I'm telling you, these things, they're only a couple years old, the new Silicon series. They're all fanless, and because they've only been out a couple of years and their value has held, even a used one is going to be very close to the cost of a new one. So if you do get one refurbed, make sure it's a place that's going to support it. Get it directly from Apple. Look at their refurb store, and you can save a little bit. But honestly, go that way. You can get a Microsoft Surface tablet or computer if you want to go Windows. You're not going to save any money. The fanless ones are going to be in that same price, $700-800 price point to begin with. How about? Do you know of anything that's really great in the fanless side on Windows?
No, I do apologize as well. I'm a Windows fan for other reasons, but I'm a Mac fan first and foremost for audio, and especially for rigidity, in many different reasons. So I've always been Apple.
Variables.
It's way less variables, and it's just so sturdy. But again, there's many ways you can buy it to where it's affordable like that. I bought a supercomputer HP laptop just trying to do business. It wasn't really for audio, but I teach audio. That's what I do. And so when that fan just started kicking in, it was game over. And it was always on. I thought it was going to be fast enough to not have to have the fan every second of the day. And it needed the fan every second of the day. So I already had spent the money and still had the fan issue. So so be cautious of those kind of items. You'll waste your money on it.
Yeah. Well, you also, George, you always like talking about getting a used one or a refurbished one, because you can get even cheaper too. Well,
that's the thing. Like
Mac.
They're so new that even the used ones. Let's put it this way: I just sold a used MacBook Air M1. I bought it like the day they came out. I got $800 for it. So their resale value is amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
They're like Hondas. Yeah.
Yeah, they really hold their value. So buying a used one doesn't really save you that much money. I think they got a good deal because I got it with an upgraded amount of memory. I usually try to go to 16 gigabytes of memory because I do a lot of multitasking. I use Google Chrome, and I use a lot of tabs. So I use a lot of memory.
Yeah.
2 more questions. Let's see if we can bang those out.
Yeah, no, this is a great question because I deal with this one all the time. From Daniel Russo on YouTube. He has a 6x6 DIY booth. I have pyramid and line pattern foam tiles. Half and half on patterns.
Nice.
Can you mix them? Pyramid and lines foam?
Oh my God.
Different
go across
sound
the
result.
streams.
Different sound result if mixed, or is it trial and error sound? I don't think it really makes a big difference. You can arrange them any pattern you want.
Yeah.
Oralex, or the foam is generally designed to absorb and diffuse sound.
You
And,
really got to look at who made these foam tiles.
yeah, some
like
of them are better than others.
Yeah, if they
Thickness.
don't, yeah,
Thickness.
thickness is important. If they're 1 inch thick, almost useless. 2 inch, starting to get there. 3 and 4 inch, now you're getting somewhere that these are really going to be effective. But you got to look at what makes them, because foam isn't foam. There's many types of foam, and some foam is almost completely useless. Other actually works. Make sure that whoever you're getting from has NRC rating information along with that foam to make sure it's actually going to be effective.
Yeah, don't get obsessive about the patterns, because it's not like to say no one needs to see how the sausage is made or where it's made.
Yeah, just make it look cool. Okay,
Yeah.
if you got to be on camera, make it look cool.
Cool.
Otherwise, it doesn't really matter.
That doesn't really matter.
All right, last one is on point, is on brand for Rode. So we got the man here to answer this question. This is from our very own Jeff Holman that manages our chat room.
Oh, wonderful.
He's the guy who stuck his head up at the beginning and said Tech Talk. The Rode NT1 5th Gen only utilizes 32-bit float through the USB connection, right? Is that USB from the mic, does that go to the interface, or does that USB go straight into the computer? And lastly, can I get it to go through the interface so I can use the way my PreSonus, with my PreSonus audio interface? So can you demystify that in 30 seconds?
Jeff, that's a wonderful question. We get it every single time we have this conversation. Dual Connect is 2 choices. They are not one or the other doing 32-bit float. So XLR is XLR. So if you run the XLR, you would go to your interface. Then your interface that it's plugging into, say your PreSonus, would need to do 32-bit float, because the
Which it doesn't.
microphone. There you go.
I happen to know that.
Yep. The USB-C is an audio interface. It turns this microphone, if you will, into an audio interface. So therefore, the PreSonus or the other interface that you might plug it into is no longer relevant in that conversation. And that is when you would do 32-bit float, because this audio interface can do 32-bit float.
I know, it's a little, again, I promise I'm going to do a very demystifying video showing workflows of how to use 32-bit float effectively in your studio, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, hey, Ryan, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you for
sticking
having me.
around for
It's
the
been
Q&A.
great. I look forward to our next couple days.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, gotta love this thing. This is the best arm I have ever used.
Yes.
Yeah, the PSA 1. It's a well-built
We have
arm.
13 or 11 of them over here on our booth. Yeah, come see us.
All righty. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to wrap things up right after this. So don't go away. We'll be right back on VoiceOver Body Shop.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, and you are watching VoiceOver Body Shop. It's great.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
All right, I'm here to talk about these guys. VoiceActor.com. What is VoiceActor.com? Well, VoiceActor.com is a way to get your voice actor website up and running really, really fast. You have to have a website as a voice actor. You don't want to just have something on Facebook or LinkedIn saying, yeah, I'm a voice actor. You've got to show your professionalism by having a very professional website. That's your business card. So if you don't have one, you need to get one. And if you need to get one fast, as opposed to the 5 or 6 months it takes for everybody else, go to voiceactor.com, because what they have are templated websites. You don't have to go in there and design all this stuff. You have a lot of creative flexibility with it. There's different colors and you can put your pictures in, but it's lots of different templates that can make you look great. But most importantly, you put your demos there and your name and your contact information and get yourself on the internet like that. Go over to voiceactor.com. You can start for free, absolutely free, and get your site on the internet. And then they have some other plans, like $20 a month. You get some more features with that, and you get a great website. Go over to voiceactor.com right now, or when you have a chance, and get your website up and running in no time.
We are the World Voices Organization,
also known as WOVO. We're the not-for-profit industry association of freelance voice talent. Voiceover is a complex entrepreneurial business.
WOVO is there to promote the professional nature of voice work to the public, to those already established in their voiceover practice,
and to those who want to pursue voiceover as a career.
Membership benefits include
a supportive and creative community,
a profile and demos on voiceover.biz, our searchable directory of vetted professional voice talent,
our exclusive demo player for your personal website,
our mentoring program, business resources, and our video library,
our annual WOVOCon conference, a fun and educational weekend with other members with the chance to learn and network,
webinars and great speakers, and weekly social chats with other members around the world.
If your world is voiceover,
make WOVO part of it. World Voices Organization.
We speak for those who speak for a living.
This is the Latin lover narrator from Jane the Virgin, Anthony Mendez, and you're enjoying Dan and George on The VoiceOver Body Shop.
All righty. Well, that was a great tech talk. Having Ryan on was just fabulous because he knows his stuff.
Nice opportunity, yeah. I've been wanting to have him on some of our shows, and this was a kismet, so perfect.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, we have to remember to plug ourselves, like homevoiceoverstudio.com, because that's where I do my business, and George is over at georgethe.tech.
Yepper. And actually, if you call our emergency support line, there's a chance you might actually get Dan, because he's in our emergency support phone system now. This is something we don't talk about much, but if you call the 424 number on the site, or if you see the 424-226-8528 number, and you're like, I am screwed if I don't get my studio online in the next 10 to 15 minutes, that's the number to call. We will get somebody to you through our dispatch service, a live human dispatch service that will get you to somebody when you need it. And for those who do need it, it's a lifesaver. It's sort of a audio ambulance, if it were.
Yeah. And if you need a good actor, you can go to IMDb and Jeff Holman, because he's a great actor.
As seen on
TV.
Well, yeah, a lot of stuff.
And on the big silver screen.
That's right.
All righty. What else we got going on here? Oh, we need to thank our donors of the week. You can donate to our show. Doesn't have to be a lot. You can set up automatic payments or send us a large donation at once. Several $1,000s would be nice. But you can do $1 a month or 10 cents a week or something like that. Go to our webpage and go to Donate Now. And help
we'll
us
read your
maintain.
Name. Yeah. We'll read your name every show.
Every week, like Greg Cooper,
Grace Newton,
Christopher Epperson,
Robert Leadham,
Stephen Chandler,
Casey Clack,
Jonathan Grant,
Thomas Pinto,
Greg Thomas.
A Doctor Voice.
Antland Productions.
Martha Kahn.
949 Designs.
Sarah Borges.
Philip Sapir.
Brian Page.
Rob Ryder.
Shauna Pennington Baird.
Don Griffith.
Trey Mosley.
Diana Birdsall.
Maria Mackis.
And Sandra Manwiller. Thank you all for your contributions to maintaining this great show that we've been doing for so many years. Need to thank our sponsors like Harlan Hogan's VoiceOver Essentials,
VoiceOver Extra,
Source Elements,
VOHeroes.com,
VoiceActor.com, and WorldVoices.org. It's world-voices.org, of which I am the president. I had to mention that, because I'm in charge of that right now. Lots of responsibility. We got some great stuff, some new things that we're going to tell you about as time goes on. So join us, become part of the organization. We need to thank Jeff Holman for doing a great job in the chat room tonight. We really appreciate that. Sue Merlino, who thank you, Sue. She's been a busy lady. She got herself a new job, but she will be here with us in perpetuity. She cannot leave us. It's
whenever
not allowed.
possible.
And so we appreciate all she does for us. And Lee Penny just for being Lee Penny. Well, you know something? This is not an easy business. There's so many people trying to get into voiceover, and they think it's easy, and it really isn't. But the technology, look at this. I mean, what do we got going on here?
Talk about technology.
There's a lot of technology shoved into one hall. And there's so much technology, but how do you sort it out? Sort it all out? How do you get the stuff you need? There's only one way. You talk to us. HomeVoiceOverStudio.com or GeorgeThe.tech. You'll find us. We'll help you out. But the bottom line is, if it sounds good,
it is good.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
Or VOBS. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
There he
Tech
is.
Talk. Tech Talk.
Yes.
Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. All right. Have yourselves a great week, everybody. And
that's why Minx had him on the show.
That's right.
Right there.
Because he just looks like that.
Boom.
I'm Dan Leonard.
I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
Or VOBS. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. See you later.
Cheers.